champion. She's going to be reading the fairy tale True Love to you. Enjoy.
Once there was a kingdom that had the custom of honoring a commoner at the royal ball, held once a year at the king's palace. This year's selection was a young woman who lived in a small cottage near the great forest. She had been chosen by the prince, who had seen her one day as she was picking flowers in a nearby meadow. He had been charmed by her simple beauty and smile. Thinking of the ball, he had said, using his most courtly voice, "My dear maiden, would you please accept my invitation to the royal ball?" She had instantly replied, "Sir, I would be honored to accept your kind offer." The woman had felt magic in the air. "Splendid! My royal carriage will be by at 9 o'clock to pick you up for the ball," he had told her. Then the prince had waved goodbye and left, riding his beautiful white horse. "This turn of event is a dream come true," had exclaimed the young woman. "But oh my, what should I wear?" She did not have any fancy ball gowns in her closet. Then she remembered her one very nice peasant dress. She could put flowers in her hair and wear her mother's string of beads around her neck. Not to worry. After all, the prince had invited her, and magic was in the air. In no time at all, she was ready for the ball. This brings us, dear friends, to the main event, the ball. As promised, the royal carriage arrived promptly at 9 o'clock. A coachman sprang to the ground and helped her into the carriage. Then, with a crack of his whip, the driver drove off in the direction of the palace. Great excitement filled the woman. She would be dancing with members of the royal court. She wondered if the prince would be among her dancing partners. In no time at all, the carriage arrived at the front gate of the palace. The coachman once again sprang from the coach and then escorted the woman to the entrance. All of her senses were heightened by what she saw. Elegantly dressed dancers moved gracefully across the polished floor of the ballroom. But what most caught the attention of the young woman was the beautiful music coming from the royal band. She had never heard such glorious sounds. In particular, she admired the brilliance of a trumpet that now heralded her arrival into the ballroom with a spirited fanfare. A royal guard escorted her into a large hall. Stopping at the entrance, he tapped his mighty staff twice. Then he announced with authority, "May I present a lady from near the great forest? She is our honored commoner for the evening." The prince hurried up to her side, and bowing, he said, "My beautiful commoner, may I have this dance?" The woman blushed with delight, replying, "You may, dear prince." But the young woman did not know any of the steps to the dance or any of the others done by the members of the court. She began to panic, not knowing what to do. At that very moment, she heard the sound of the trumpet. It was telling her with its musical notes which way to move. Quickly she realized that the trumpet would guide her through all the intricate movements of the dance. She smiled with relief. Thank goodness for the trumpet! All during the ball, it was the trumpet that was her best friend, helping her to step and turn at exactly the right time. Her evening became a great triumph. Everyone at the ball smiled at her, marveling at her remarkable dancing ability. "And she is only a commoner," exclaimed all the people of the court. The prince was also very impressed. He smiled at the woman as he danced every dance with her. Carefully, the woman listened to the trumpet as it continued to guide her movements. Later that same evening, the prince kissed the woman and then asked her to marry him the very next day. The woman had been swept off her feet, and so she said without hesitation, "Yes, my prince." So a royal wedding was hastily arranged. In short order, the young woman from near the great forest was now a princess. But being a princess is not an easy task. especially for someone so young and inexperienced as this woman. There were so many protocols to observe as a member of the court, and even more if you were a member of the royal family. Each time this new princess made a mistake, the prince would correct her. All day long, all she heard was, "No, no, you have made another mistake. Do it this way." The members of the court began to notice all the mistakes that the new princess was making. "Well," they said, "what can you expect from a commoner? The prince should have known this would happen. He should get rid of her before she embarrasses him and the whole court any further." The woman began to wither under all of the complaints she was now receiving from everyone. She was like a flower when it is pelted down by a downfall of rain. Each insult beat down upon her natural cheerfulness and good spirits. It is not surprising that she became very sad. In desperation, she searched the palace, seeking a place of refuge. At last she found a little corner of the palace where she would be free from criticism: the music chamber. As she sat quietly in one of these rooms, she heard the festive tunes of a trumpet playing. The sounds were so bright and cheery that the spirits of the princess began to lift. She even found herself smiling. From then on, the princess made a point of visiting the music chamber every day. By listening to the music of the trumpet, she found a way to endure the daily barbs she was receiving from the prince and the other members of the court. But who was the man who played the trumpet? The princess was now struck by a great curiosity. Who was he? She remembered it was this very same trumpet player who had saved her from a misstep at the ball. The very next day, the princess hurried to the music chamber in search of the trumpet, but she could not find him. She could hear him playing, but he played a kind of hide-and-seek with her, darting all around the hall. Just when she thought she had found him, he would be gone. This game went on for many days. "Where, oh where is my trumpet player? Why does he hide from me?" she wondered. "He must be a very shy fellow," she thought. Sadly, the princess was now beset with the reality that her royal marriage to the prince was going to be terminated. Oh, it's terrible. Everyone in the court, including the prince, had decided that the princess was not fit for the job as royal consort. She must be returned to her original status, single and common. With a quick decree from the king, an act of royal dissolution was completed. Though no longer a princess, was devastated. How could her prince treat her so badly? Was love so fleeting? Feeling very ashamed and unwanted, this once again common woman fled to the great forest. She was so distraught that she ran without looking where she was going. Deeper and deeper into the forest she flew. The trees became darker and darker. After going a long way, the woman stopped, and glancing all around, she saw that she was now lost. She realized that her prospects were not good. She would probably be eaten by the cruel beasts that lurked in the forest. The woman threw herself down upon the forest floor and began to cry, sobbing over the misery of her soon-to-be short life. Then she heard a familiar sound in the distance. It was the trumpet. It seemed to call out to her, telling her to come to it. She picked herself up and began to walk in the direction of the music. Following the sweet, encouraging sounds, the woman finally found her trumpet player. A young man wearing the uniform of the royal band stood before her. He had blonde hair and clear blue eyes. He greeted her with a fanfare as he would have greeted the greatest monarch. "My dear young woman," he said, "I cannot offer you riches, but I can offer you something far better, true love." And so the trumpet player and the once-upon-a-time princess were married. There was no royal carriage, no great ballroom, and no elegantly dressed dancers, but there was an abundance of family members and friends who celebrated this simple wedding. Dear all, I know you will be glad to learn that this couple lived happily ever after. The end.
Oh, how absolutely lovely.
Aren't you glad it worked out okay?
Yes, that was just
My true
lovely.
love.
And you
you,
guys
Ken.
really are. You're the living fairy tale, actually. That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. You make a great team.
Well, it's more fun doing things with other people, but especially with Kent. I really enjoy doing things with him. He's quite an inspiration.
Yeah, you complement each other with creativity and inspiration and perfect timing, I have to say. That was lovely.
We need it. I'm thrilled to death.
I tell my friends I've branched out. I play medieval trumpet.
That is kind of a branch out, isn't it? You still do the jazz, though, right?
Dixieland jazz. Also, I play with the classical rock and roll and symphonic music and Carlos Santana music.
Oh, I love Carlos.
He can do it all. But doesn't he look good in that
That's a
hat?
handsome hat, and I love the shirt. Love the shirt. Well, we're going to go to our next segment. I cannot thank you both enough. Come back for some more of what you just heard. You will be greatly
Thank you.
thrilled, actually. I think I am. Thank you very much, Ken and Linda.
Thank you.